Where'd you put yours? Oh, yeah. Try to keep it pointed up. Try to keep it pointed up.
Better?
Yeah, that's better. All right. Hello and welcome to the mini episode of Spy Colony 30.5. I just got a beer after the conclusion, and Mike just got a Fernet after the conclusion of the 1K at Endless Life Brewing.
I tried to get around, and no one was taking them. I was like, we've been sitting here all day.
Everyone's like a teetotaler. The champion was none other than Bill. Bill, what's your last
Ellis.
name? Bill Ellis. What's your exclamation points? Bill Ellis, 2 exclamation points.
Because he's Bill Ellis the second.
Bill Ellis the second, exclamation point. Shout out to Endless Life Brewing, and shout out to Sunny who organized. Sunny, if you want to say something to our audience, this is your chance.
Hey guys, hopefully we'll run a spicy event as opposed to a spiky event soon. So stay tuned for details.
Sunny, why don't you do
tournament organizers 5 minutes.
Pre-modern unified, right? So the way that works is
that sounds spiky, Mike.
3 decks you put 3 decks on top of each other, and it has to be a legal deck.
Yeah, that sounds spiky, because you would just play something blue-white, something green-red.
No.
And then
it's going to be spicy, because I'll take the kids. I'll take Itai and Pog.
Who don't live in this city. Okay, anyways, aside
and
from that.
You can take
Sunny
Tom.
Sunny spent a fair amount of development time. Do you want to say anything else? No, okay, cool. Sunny ran an amazing event.
Sunny's gas. We met him because we didn't know who he was, but he was in the Discord, and he drove me and Kaplan and Rebel to $1,000 tournament at Bearded.
Yeah.
And then he's just been
and the rest is history. Yeah.
She's just been super embedded in the community since.
You mentioned it. You mentioned it on the pod before, but he's just like, why are we driving to Hartford to play in 1Ks when I can just have one at this brewery? And then he did, and it was awesome.
Got 30 guys to go to his brewery all day, which is
so. Congrats to Bill Ellis. Bill Ellis, just say hi before you go.
Hello.
Bill was the winner. Good seeing you.
Likewise, good games, y'all.
Good games. Bill, of course, playing Red Green Magical Christmas Land Death.
You say Land Death.
Sure, you can say it like that.
Magical Christmas Land Death.
I'm just going to call it Christmas most of the time.
Christmas.
The Red Green Terraponza Oath, which was pioneered by TV Tyrant and tuned independently by 2 pilots at the same time, or actually non-concurrently, a Tesla Edison situation. I got into that in the.
So I'm gonna call it Red Green Oath Peluche in controversion of my own name, just because I'm so disgusted by this entire segue you have here. We just talk about it. We know what deck we're talking about, Lanny.
The Peluche element of it is that Fran basically said, "Hey, this is the best deck in the format." We all said, "Fran,
shut up."
Surely it loses to decks like Burn, decks like Grow a Tog, decks like any deck, control decks, like at your average control decks." And time and time again, we're proven wrong. So whatever number of Sabos webs you were planning on bringing to the next tournament, I would bring more. I was playing Grow a Tog. I got second place. I lost in the finals. And I did not bring any Sabos web because I didn't think I needed them.
You were wrong.
And I was wrong. I was super wrong. I cast Armageddon in the match. I played 6
I saw you
games.
cast 3 Armageddons in the 2 matches you played against Bill. None of the 3 Armageddons did anything.
Yeah, the guns
so Lanny blew up 4+ man lands 3 times and lost every game that this occurred.
Yeah, and then so following that, anyways, I lost. So I lost in the Swiss. We were both 3-0, and we could have double drew in, but I was like, hey, I think we should either take 2 win-ins, and if we lose, we might still be able to draw. So I was correct, and I proceeded to lose. I thought I was just going to cakewalk in, but then I was able to draw into the top 8. The top 8 was awesome. Top 8 included Goblins, Blue-White Weenie.
Who was
Blue-White
Goblins?
Dreadnought.
Phil Q?
Phil Q, yeah. Phil Q was playing Goblins. Obviously check it out online, TC Decks, but yes, diverse top 8, like always with pre-modern. It had Christmas Land, it had...
So you only lost to Bill. You lost to Bill in Swiss, and you lost to Bill in top 2.
That's correct, yeah. It was kind of how I only lost to Brian Selden and Itai, or how I only lose to Mike Flores. Just how things go.
Today, I made I'm not sure if I made a genius play or a horrible play, but I made a play that is contrary to my usual play.
Mike finished top 4, by the way, with Blue-White Dreadnought.
So I usually metagame against Lanny, I played a deck that I knew was bad against Lanny's Grotog deck, but what had happened was K-Ron, Rafael Caron, took the prize of listening to the last Spike Colony episode, and he instructed me to play Blue-White Dreadnought. I played it at the meetup this week. I lost to Bill, and I was super...
Bill was playing red-green.
He was playing red-green, so I was super disenchanted. But I talked to my friend Patrick O'Halloran Gannon, and he's just like, if I could play Blue-White Dreadnought as well as Itai, I would play it every tournament. And he had said to me, there's so many times you've told me, like, you go like 0-2 in like on Saturday and then you just win the tournament on Sunday with same 75. Like, why are you so disenchanted? You've been so high on Blue-White Dreadnought for so long. And I was just like, wow, that was really inspiring, you know, that Pog said that to me. So I was just like, I think I'm just going to shore up my deck against Bill. So I played 4 Tabos Webs in my Blue-White Dreadnought deck.
You played 4?
I played 4.
Oh, so you borrowed 2 from me, and you
And
also
I own 2, yeah.
That's fine.
So, and I played against 0 decks where Sabos Web had positive text on the entire day. Notably,
it always draws a card.
I only lost to Lanny. So I lost to Lanny in the Swiss. I lost to Lanny in top 4. And I, like, literally, if you looked around, there were plenty of treetop villages, even if I wasn't going to catch Bill.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So,
but I just didn't play against any of them.
Mano brought some spice. Mano brought black green
Mano's stuff
oath.
was good.
Mano brought black green oath. It had 4 treetops for Mishra's. SWB brought Dominic Harvey's deck with a few updates.
It's Land's deck.
Well, we're not going to spoil it.
Okay.
So we're calling it Dom's deck.
It is reminiscent of Dom's deck, but it is very different.
Dom's deck was the starting point,
Yeah.
but it had treetops and wastelands. So Salvo's Web had some text in the room. Other comments.
I mean, Christine played.
Burn was in the top 8 again. So yeah. So let's go top to bottom. Winner, Red Green Oath.
Second,
runner-up, Grotog.
Top 4.
I'll talk about my Grotog list after running these out. Top 4, Blue-White Weenie and Blue-White Dreadnought.
So both top 3rd and 4th were my flooded strands.
Yeah.
So
Michael J's cards, he lent the deck to Christine. The remaining top 8 was Goblins,
Phil
Burn,
Q, Jeff Ferris, Blue-Red Dreadnought, Brian,
and then Terrageddon in the hands of Matt Perlman, who finally broke into top 8 after trying a lot at these in-person Swiss events. So Grotog.
Was that 8 archetypes?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, gasoline, man.
I mean, there's like 12 meddling mages and 8 terravores and stuff like that, but like, yeah, generally
top
speaking,
4 was 12 meddling mage, 12 flooded strand.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Well, normally meddling mage comes with flooded strand, so you don't have to say that. But yeah, sometimes it comes with Sky Cloud Expanse. You were crazy. Anyways.
That's you. You're a Sky Cloud Expanse guy.
I'm sometimes a Sky Cloud Expanse gamer, but never with meddling mage, notably. So I just wanted to talk through what happened with my Grotog list in the last, basically, like 12 hours before the tournament, like going to bed last night and waking up in the morning. So
Lanny metagame against Mike.
I sat there and I was like thinking about the Terravore decks. I was thinking about the possibility that Mike would bring black-white control. So to be clear, I thought you were playing black-white control up until the point that you were saying you were going to play blue-white, and you told me this morning you were playing.
Yeah, I literally changed my deck this morning.
So first, Mike was just like, "Oh, I'm going to play black-white." I'm like, "Fine, I'll play 3 Armageddons." And then, but I also thought, I'm like, you know, honestly, I can't just like Armageddon black-white. Like, if Mike ever just casts Exalted Angel, like I'm dead. So it was like, I had Mike and I, when we said we're gonna same 75 Grotog, I was just like, oh, let's play one Source of Posture's main. And then afterwards, I was just like, honestly, I'm kind of feeling another Source of Posture's main. And I was like, so we trimmed 1 days, and then I was like, okay, let's trim another days. And I started looking for other space, and I was just like, okay, well, I kind of want to trim 1 more days, because like once you have 2 days, one of them is probably should be a counterspell. And then I just had 1 days in my deck. And then I was just like, well,
why have any days?
Armageddon's kind of good, and if I move an Armageddon from my sideboard to my main deck, I can open a spot in the sideboard for my 3rd Disenchant. And Disenchant, I know I'm a huge Ray of Revelation fan, and that Grotog can cast Ray of Revelation both sides. But I was like, I need Disenchant to help hedge my Dreadnought matchup and to destroy some Curse Scrolls and Sphere of Resistance, which was the new hotness. I was like, I hate Sphere of Resistance. Grotog hates Sphere of Resistance. And so I was like, yeah, once you cut all the dazes, it seems fine. I'm like, okay, well, what's going to happen if I don't have daze? Like, what cards are people going to cast on me on curve that I'm so scared of?
You just shift what kind of deck you are, right? You go from being a fish deck to more of a counter sliver deck.
Exactly. And so, like, I just had a moment. I'm like, well, I'm not going to daze a Pernicious Deed on 3. But, like, how many board states is a Pernicious Deed on 3 not as good as a Pernicious Deed on 4?
I have to tell you, I held back on my hardcast gushes probably like 3 or 4 times against you because I didn't want to play into a daze.
Yeah.
And then I made a mistake in the last game that we played, but I don't think it would have mattered because you just had drawn so many meddling mages at that point. But I could have stopped your gush, right? The last gush you cast.
Right.
But I didn't try because I didn't want to get dazed.
Yeah. I mean, I had a moment where I had to live in fear of your brain freezes, so that was kind of an interesting caveat. But ultimately, just like a lot of good Magic was played, I made the comment
It's the hardest
3 rounds
tournament.
in. I was like, this was the hardest pre-modern tournament I've played in my life. Like, round 1, Mano, like, Oath deck, super tough matchup. You know,
His deck seemed really
1
good.
and
It was
3.
like, I think I would have lost to him.
Yeah, it's just black green bottomless pit Prism Oath instead of green X Cataclysm Thermokarst Prism Oath.
But
But
if he gets his machinery in play, like 12/12 can't even go off. Like you need to draw.
So notably, he
a
wasn't
gush.
playing Terrorvores, he was playing the Chosen Phoenix
Yeah,
package.
like you need to actually draw a gush and then luck into the combo. That's the
Yeah.
only way you can do it. He
probably didn't have the balls to play 4 Sylvan Library, so that's kind of on him. Maybe his tournament would have gone better. Sorry, Mano. But so I played against him. I played against SWB, also an Oath deck. Also went to 3 games. Also super tough. In round 3, I had Mike. Even though I like my matchup, I still had to draw 4 Meddling Mage in game 1.
in the top 20 cards.
Yeah, in not too many cards. And then game 2 was kind of a little bit more interesting. We just played more turns. There was like Meddling Mage back and forth, and the critical thing was you just named the wrong. Well, no, that was in game 1.
No, it was a game. So
Yeah.
in game 1, like Laney had 22 cards left in his library and hadn't played a Kyrian Dryad yet, and I was just like, did he cut Kyrian Dryad?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm like staring at like it's. I tanked
Shout
on
out
this.
to Rich Shea, who was just like, cut the Kyrian Dryads and just play a Meddling Mage Psychotox.
Like
deck.
I tanked on this for so long, and then I had already countered a Psychotog earlier that game, right? So then I was just like Meddling Mage. I'm like, I really wanted to name Kyrian Dryad. I'm like, then I named Psychotog,
And then I drew 3 Kyrian Dryads.
and then Laney played 3 Kyrian Dryads the next turn.
The next 2 or 3 turns, yeah. But so that was a tough battle, but I 2-0'd Mike. So you know how tough was it? I did 3 games with most other people, and I did 2 games with Mike. Then I ran up into Bill.
I think that certainly you are advantaged in that matchup, but I just
You made it hard.
But I didn't draw any of the stuff that's good in the matchup for me.
Yeah. So,
But I mean, you are advantaged. I don't want to try to take that away.
Give the viewers this analysis. Like Grotog, because it has to cantrip into the answers, is not equipped to just combat turn 2 Dreadnought most of the time, and then
Well, I didn't have it.
even far less equipped to deal with turn 2 Dreadnought. When you cut all the dazes.
In our top 4 match, when I was like thinking really hard about if I should keep it or not, my hand was great, and I was just like I had a turn. Like I was just like, how much leverage am I even going to put into this draw? But I'm like, I have a turn 2 Dreadnought with Vision Charm, Daze Foil backup, and Lanny goes first turn Meddling Mage, and I'm like,
I was on the play because
he's on the play because of seeding, and I'm like, oh come on, right? Like, and it's just so hard from that spot. Like, and then it just didn't draw Brain Freeze in any games that we played.
Yeah. So tough times for Mike. I think it's definitely can be close, and we saw in the Fall Brawl finals or enough.
Lanny played really well against me. I have to say, he played really well. He played better than I did.
I'm bulletproof with Grotog at this point. Yeah.
But like, I mean, to be fair, I never drew Brain Freeze in any game.
Yeah.
So, but I think like in both of our sideboarded games that we played, Lanny 2-0'd me both times. I think he would have just been dead if I drew Brain Freeze in either of those games.
Certainly in the.
I had three Vision Charms on one of the games.
Certainly in the game where. I actually ran into an interesting spot where if Mike had double Brain Freeze in his hand,
You're just dead.
I had to Well, so I was like, okay, I'm going to start my turn, and I need to storm off with Dryads in play.
Yeah.
And so if you had double Brain Freeze in a hand, I couldn't cast an Opt.
I-
Because
so-
if I casted an Opt,
That it was a
you could,
kill on
you
the
could
stack.
Throw, you
Yeah.
could throw. So,
But I knew that I was dead if you just push there, right? So
Yeah.
at that point, my hand was all Vision Charms and Stifles, and like I had one foil. I had 7 cards, but like
Yeah.
none of them were like proactive.
Yeah, my hand was like double counterspell,
So-
double gush.
Yeah,
like,
so I
slide a hand Opt. And it was
yeah,
just
so
like,
it's like my hand was something like once because I tried to stifle one of the Dryad triggers,
Yeah.
and then I foiled the fire, right? But my hand was something like Gush, foil, 3 Vision Charms,
I just want
stifle, or
to
something.
talk about this fire for a second.
Yeah.
Because the fire is genius, right? Because
I have to
instead
counter
of
it.
yeah, well, it was great because instead of casting ice, which could kill me if you have brain freeze.
No.
just cast
So
fire.
the thing is, I'm gambling. If the fire hits me, I go to 8, right?
Yeah.
Like that means that I'm actually 2 deeper on both of the Dryads.
Right, exactly.
Right. So like,
it does the fire does 4 damage instead
yeah.
of just a
So
cantrip damage.
so I'm like, I'm trying to do the math here, and I'm like, I literally need Lanny to
Anyways,
fade.
this is on coverage, so you'll get a chance to either watch that back on Sony's Twitch, where you can check out the VOD.
And we're gonna do full.
Yeah, we'll try to do a
the
timeout
entire-
commentary. But anyways, hardest pre-modern tournament.
You think it's harder than LobsterCon?
LobsterCon, I had tremendous deck advantage.
Yeah.
So in LobsterCon, I played against Survival Welder, which I didn't play against here. And notably, Survival Welder is pretty good against Roadhog. I played against Dredge at Home.
I don't know Dredge at Home.
It's a zombie infestation, breakthrough, squee, Krovikan horror deck.
Does it have Firestorm or Wild Mongrel?
It doesn't have either of those cards. It's base black blue. And
Yeah, I don't know this deck then. Does it have like a first turn kill?
No. But shout out to Mike Packer, and also sorry that I'm making you relive this. But yeah, I play against Dredge at Home, which was just an easy matchup for Parfait. And I played against Burn. So like, I
At that
played
point,
against
Burn is
some-
a pretty easy matchup for you,
For
right?
Parfait, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of freebies, and then I had to work really hard against Selden, and I didn't have to work hard against Etai because he steamrolled me. I had to work hard against Smits. I had to work hard.
Oh my god,
against-
your match against Smits,
Yeah.
like, I had so much respect for you. You played so well at LobsterCon. I have to tell you, I was so proud of you.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it, but the behind the scenes of that is just like for all the Smiths game matches I won, I also won matches because like I was playing against a blue-white not land still, so I was playing against blue-white type control against Parfait, and my opponent
She
didn't
doesn't
realize,
do anything, right?
Well, my opponent didn't realize that the way scroll rack works means that I can never be decked.
Yeah.
And so we
You
played
broke
match
that-
one for 40 minutes.
You broke that to him
Yeah.
much later in the
So
game.
so we played match one for 40 minutes, and I was like, okay.
Can I just? I want to riff on your. This is the hardest tournament you ever played in.
Yeah.
First round, I'm like I have like a 5 land hand. Like, and it's not a bad 5 land hand. Like, it's one of these games where I'm happy to hit my first 5 land drops. Right. Like we'll draw go, and then I'll pick a fight later. Right. So I'm very happy for this.
Yeah, 5 land's important. It's just like it's good.
So I'm just like I know how to play these games, right? So I'm island flooded strand. My opponent is like island flooded strand. So I'm like, okay, I'm turtling up for the mirror on turn 3, and I'm like, okay, I have a meddling mage, and I'm like, I don't want to jam it yet because I don't want to run it into a counter spell. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to use my cantrips to keep hitting land drops. I'm going to make him bite first.
I love these games.
Yeah, so
for
like,
Dreadnought,
I'm gonna make him bite first, and then I'm gonna close the door, right? So he's just like island, flooded strand, island, all this stuff, and then like around turn 4 or 5, he's just like, you have a Maya Coast, and I'm like, you have a Maya Coast, and I'm like, oh shoot, and I'm like,
sir,
break my flooded strand plains. I slam meddling mage and name Oath of Druids, right?
Okay.
So then
That's interesting. Okay.
Well, I don't. What would you? If he's just like islands of flooded strands, and you have Mycos, what would you think he is?
Anything.
No, but what would you have played the meddling mage or?
I
what?
wouldn't. Yava Mayakos does not indicate Oath of Druids to me.
Okay, so I named Oath of Druids, right? So then his next turn.
I think it would just be like a control pile, like Bane Control
yeah.
with Blessings.
So-
it would actually be your horrible deck.
So
it would
my-
be Blessing Control.
So my first inclination is he's mirror. Then I think he's basically land sec, and I think, like, which is similar to Dom Harvey, right? That's the signal that I got. But I thought that because I've spent so much time testing with SWB and LAN this matchup
Right,
last
you got
week.
tainted.
So I'm just like, I have tainted matchup in my head. And then, like, the other night when we were here testing on Thursday night, I was just testing with SWB until like 11 or 12, right? And so this is in my head. And then the next turn, he's like, Fertile Ground, Wild Growth,
Enchantress?
He's Enchantress, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I ended up winning the game by stifling.
All right, Mike, wrap it up. I'm done with my beer.
All right.
The thought was hardest tournament.
So
I've
I just
played.
want to say, like, in round 1, I misidentified my opponent's deck twice.
Yeah.
Okay. He was playing Rich's deck basically, with Words of Wind.
Yeah.
And then round 2.
Shout out to opponent for playing that deck.
Round
Awesome
2, I won game 1 in the mono blue versus blue white 12-12 mirror.
Yeah.
Right, and then in game 2, he's at 2 life. I have a meddling mage that has been clocking him the whole game, right? Like, and I have like 7 cards in hand, and he's at 2 life. I have a meddling mage. It's on Phyrexian Dreadnought, and I lose this game.
Yeah.
He 18s me with Brain Freeze, and I have 18 cards in my deck, right? So I'm like, oh shoot.
Wait, Enchantress of Brain Freeze.
No, this is round 2.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Round 2.
Oh, yeah, it's the mono blue opponent.
Mono blue,
sorry.
mono blue
I'm too drunk to follow. Okay.
Yeah, and then I got game 3 because it's a pretty good matchup for blue white, right? And then in top 8, I thought I was against elves, but it turns out I was against blue red Dreadnought.
Yeah, I don't know why you assumed you were against elves. You could have just asked me. I would have just been like, that guy's playing blue red. Yeah. Shout out to Brian L.
Was he top 8 at LobsterCon?
He wasn't top 8 at LobsterCon, but he has been to every 1K that we've had. So he's been at Bearded 1Ks. He's been at Lobster. He was at LobsterCon. He didn't top 8, and he defeated me playing Rock against Grotog, the very first Bearded 1K that I attended.
He played well. Game 1, he mulliganed to 5, so I just had a material advantage and I was able to leverage. And then game 2, he kept a really one of these hands that's just like, if my portent gets there, like my hand's like very, very live. But I just had resistance, and like it was like turn 5, I had 5 lands and he had 2 lands
Portent
still.
always gets there. Portent always gets.
Yeah,
okay,
but
closing thoughts. I'm done
closing
with my
thoughts.
beer.
Dope tournament. I mean, what did I learn? You have to metagame against Lanny. The one tournament ever I did metagame against Lanny. I lost to Lanny. It would have been a better story if I was up against Bill in the finals. I literally had 4 Sabos webs. So did I say this in this? Bill beat me in the meetup on Thursday.
Yeah, so that was the arc.
That was the arc. So he beat me in the meetup on Thursday. I'm like, he won the meetup. So there wasn't that many people, so I didn't put up on TC decks. It's not worth it if there's not like enough people.
Yeah, it was 4 people round robin.
Yeah, it's 4 people round robin. I finished in the middle. Bill won. So I was just like, oh man, I hate to admit it, but I think Fran's deck is for real. I think to the degree that I have to play Sabo's Web.
Yeah, four.
So I played 4 Sabo's Web and blue white 12-12.
So I wanted, my closing thought is that for a year plus, I basically told people, I was like, you can't play Swords to Plowshares main deck in Grontog because every time you cast Meddling Mage, the first thing you name is Swords to Plowshares. And because the deck is so, because spinning the deck's gears is so important, and because every single piece of material matters, if you strand your own plow in your hand with Meddling Mage, that can be like life or death, because every piece of material matters.
But that's even like my mono blue matchup. Like I had like 1 or 2 Meddling Mages named on Dreadnought.
Yeah.
I discarded 3 Dreadnoughts in game 2. And if like I had been able to resolve a Dreadnought, right, like I would have like killed him quicker.
But that's
But he actually gained a lot of time to kill me with Brain Freeze.
That's important and interesting. I think that that's just different, right? Because Dreadnought is a proactive card, and Swords of Plowshares is a reactive card. And one of the things that I never, like BK's This Girl deck, was like, he was like, Swords of Plowshares is the best card in the format, and I'm going to play 4 Plows and 4 Meddling Mage, and my Meddling Mage is going to name Plow most of the time. And like Plowshares is that good that I have it in my deck.
But his deck also had 4 Seal main deck, I believe.
It had 4 Seal Cleansing, it had Fire Ice, and it had Lightning Bolt, so it had a lot of non-Swords of Plowshares removal, which is important to note. But ultimately, I wanted to basically say that, like, Days was super interesting. Days made a lot more sense when the deck had 2 Winter Orbs main deck. Pretty soon after, most of my Grotog list started cutting Winter Orb. I started feeling better about Armageddon.
And then
Because our testing against red, primarily, right?
yeah, red motivated that, but also the how good I thought Armageddon was against Christmas Land Death.
It is irrelevant. It's stone irrelevant.
Weirdly, didn't do enough in
didn't
enough
do-
context.
So in the Swiss, Lanny Armageddon's Bill to like, you have a creature, right? And then Bill
Yeah.
has nothing, right?
Yeah.
And Mano makes a comment. He's like, this guy just draws whatever, right? Bill just killed him 3 turns
Yeah,
later.
Bill just kills land,
from
land,
no
terraform.
permanence in play,
Yeah.
right? Like,
And he I think he understood that, like, he was
oh,
like,
Bill's
well,
sandbagging lands the entire every game.
Bill's like, understands. He's like, well, I have 3 lands, a factory, and a treetop village. He's like, why do I need to play another? I don't need to play
No,
another
he's
land.
making you do the thing.
Exactly. He's forcing it.
I actually want to talk about days for a second. I actually played the 4th days.
Yeah.
So, Kaplan archetype, blue-white, 12/12 only has 3 days. I played the 4th days and I cut a counterspell.
Yeah.
I did
Which
not.
was what things were like in the Fran days. Fran actually
Yeah.
used to play 3 counterspells.
So I felt good about that, and again, it's just I just wanted to make my deck as good as possible against Red Green Magical Christmas Land Death.
yeah, and Days definitely does a number on Thermokarst. But anyways, that's our time for today because I have to go and
This is like almost like
Cook.
a regular person's
cook my wife some
podcast.
dinner. This is like the Daily from New York Times. Welcome to the Daily Pre-Modern. We love you. Amazing tournament. Shout out Sunny. Shout out Endless Life again. And
So-
love Spike Colony.
So
again.
last time we played in the top 4, I beat you, but then I followed through.
yeah.
You beat me this time, and you
And I didn't
did
follow
not follow through.
Well, I thought I had a good matchup, and after losing 2 matches to Call of the Herd, I am convinced that Red Green, Magical Christmas
the best
Land Death, Tyrant, Billy, Oath Ploosh.
It's the best deck.
I mean, what beats it if not Grotog?
I think I would've
black-white
won.
Control? Just 4 Sabo's Web? That's like disgusting, though. That's like an unacceptable bridge. to
Why?
cross.
Okay, just to be clear,
It's like
Impulse,
saying- it's like-
Impulse is not good.
Okay, I don't want to talk about that because we don't have enough time. But I'm just saying, if you have to play 4 Sabo's Web in your deck, to,
I
like,
had 4
beat-
Sabos open in my
to
deck,
beat another deck,
and I
like,
sided them out 5 times.
That's just metagame working. That's just like Dredge versus Leyline of the Void. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh well, I guess I have
So-
to play 4 Leyline of the Void in every single deck I play because Dredge is so good.
So I watched the games that Bill lost. The games Bill lost, he was just flooded, right? He was flooded with literally the first game that you won, he had like a first turn Sylvan Library, right? And he died with 6 lands
I
in
mean,
his hand.
he got like 5 looks at Pyroclasm, and then he missed.
He died with north of 5 lands in his hand.
Anyways, that'll be on the VOD, so we'll have a chance to talk about that more. This has been the first bonus episode of Spy Colony.
Ever.
30.5. If you want us to, to do another 30-minute episode, I don't know, tell us. And any feedback on the podcast is really
actually
welcome.
just-
Mike is really sorry for pissing a bunch of people off in Discord. Love Spy Colony.
What the heck? What the heck? Mike isn't sorry for anything. And
No, this is the worst thing you could possibly say from that spot.
and
Just
I
say you're
actually-
sorry. Mike, just say you're sorry.
I'm sorry, and I actually want to shout out Raphael Caron. Thank you for
Yep.
making me Fear is the Mind Killer.
Shout out to K-Run.
That was great. Like I wish I did you better. That's all.
Shout out for top 4, no slouch. Good for a hundo. Good for buying me beers.
I mean, I literally
in my
just took
time
all
of
the money.
financial struggle.
I took all the money that I won and I put it back into the charity and into beers.
Pre-modern is life. Pre-modern is love. I'm thinking about starting a website with articles, primers, and whatever. And so message me if you want that. Let's Spike Colony again.
Love, Mike.